In today's video, I will show you the new most overpowered Andariels rogue build in Diablo 4 Season 5. This particular setup was popular in the previous season, but now it is even more OP if you just change few new things. We will center our build around the mythic unique called the Andariels visage that creates a devastating poison explosion. We will focus around buffing the proc damage from the Andariels visage using abilities, passives, and multi-purpose aspects, while building around the close quarters combat key passive. The main skill barrage combined with the updated Fist of the Fate do an excellent job with fast attacks and high lucky hit chance to dish out all the millions upon billions of insane damage. So if you are ready to dominate the Season 5 with this incredible rogue build, then let's get right into it. Let's start off with the skills, and we will be using the Poison Trap, Dash, Shadow Step, Poison Imbuement, Death Trap, and Barrage. And for our technique, we have the Preparation Expertise. The Andariels Rogue is very straightforward to play, given that you mostly spam the Barrage with Poison Imbuement. Also, given the high poison damage you will be dealing with this build, I don't recommend for you to stick around and wait for things to die. Rather, just move over to the next pack of mobs, because our poison will finish off any enemy that we hit just few seconds later. So this is especially useful for when you want to speed farm the endgame quicker. Then next up, let's move over to our skill tree, and this is what we have. And by the way guys, you can find the link to this full build and website guide in this video's description. For this setup to work, you will need to have a level 50 character and have finished the campaign, which is extremely easy to do in the current season. So then in the first section, we spend 2 points to unlock the Blade Shift skill and to enhance it. Although we won't use this on our skill bar, we spend these 2 points to progress to the next section, and because of the enhancement. Then we move over to the next section and spend few points to get the Barrage, then to enhance it and get the Sturdy passive for 18% damage reduction. The Barrage is our main damage dealer that, in combination with the Fist of Fate unique gloves, will give us very fast attacks and high lucky hit chance, so we will dish out all the procs that are necessary for our build's crazy damage. Then we move over to the third section and spend a few points to unlock the Shadow Step and Dash skills, and then to enhance them. We will be using both of these cutthroat skills to keep up our close quarters combat passive that gives us 15% attack speed bonus for 8 seconds. And while both the active speed bonuses are active, we will deal 10% extra damage versus crowd control enemies. Then in the next part, we spend a bunch of points to get the Dark Shroud and Poison Trap, while also enhancing them and getting very important passives like the Agile, Exploit, and Malice that all increase our damage by a lot. So Dark Shroud is our primary way of staying alive, even though we won't use it on our skill bar. By combining it with the Umbros aspect, we will get a lot of damage reduction, and as we are already very squishy, so this is must have if you want to stay alive in the endgame content. And then against tough elite packs and bosses, you should drop the Poison Trap for more damage and knockdown. And as I said at the start, you can just drop it and go away in few seconds, and all enemies will die from our poison. So this is very useful when you want to speed farm. Then after that, we go into one of the last ones to unlock the Poison Imbuement with a bunch of passives and enhancements. By using this build, we will mostly spam the Barrage with the Poison Imbuement, so this will give us very high poison damage, and we will proc the Andariels visage and Bursting Venoms for insane lucky hits. Then in the next section, we unlock the last skill called the Death Trap, and then we enhance it even more. We use the Preparation specialization to reset our cooldowns with the Death Trap skill, which has its own cooldown reduced by casting the Barrage quickly. And finally, for our key passive, we select the Close Quarters Combat. This setup does require getting used to weaving with the skills, like the Shadow Step or Dash, to keep up the Close Quarter Combat passive. But after some practice, you will be doing insane damage. Then next up, let's take a quick look at our gear, and I will show you 2 setups. The first gear loadout will be a quick 30-second showcase of what you can use immediately with 0 grinding required. And then after that, I will show you the full endgame setup. So upon finishing the leveling process and approaching the endgame grind, many of the aspects you use are already available to use from the Codex of Power. There is no reason that you shouldn't put them to immediate use, since they can be imprinted as often as needed as you upgrade your gear. And as our Andariel build is specialized, so technically you can use any rogue build that you want until you get the Andariels Visage, 30% lucky hit chance, and your poison imbue will last for 3-second cast temper, which are the basic requirements for our Andariel build to function. So to get this, you will first of all want to use the farming build, and I recommend to start by using 2 easy get legendaries, like the Aspect of Might for the helmet, then for chest armor, the Cheats aspect, for gloves, the Aspect of Concussive Strikes, for pants, the Undying aspect, for boots, the Frostbitten aspect, for weapon, the Edgemasters aspect, then for dual wielding weapons, the Aspect of the Expand and the Rapid aspect, then for the amulet, the Aspect of Branching Volleys, and lastly for both rings, the Cold Clip aspect and High Velocity aspect. This early setup gives us a functional build to begin farming with, and as I mentioned, as soon as you at least get the Andariel's Visage, then we can start by building our insanely powerful build. So then when you have a bit of grinding complete, then now we can look into our fully completed endgame gear. So for the helm we equip the Andariel's Visage, which as I've said is the key part of our build. Then for chest armor, get the Enshrouding aspect. For gloves, the unique item called the Fist of Fate. For pants, the Imbros aspect. For boots, the Aspect of Concussive Strikes. For the first weapon, the Aspect of Creeping Death. And then for both the dual wield weapons, the Aspect of Bursting Venoms, and the unique item called the Imbakrax. And then for our amulet, get the Aspect of Branching Volleys. And for both rings, the Aspect of the Retribution and High Velocity aspect. And finally for gems, get a Diamond Gem for your weapon, then get rubies for both the armor and the amulet. And lastly for both the rings, get 1 topaz and 1 amethyst gem for lightning and shadow resistance. So then next up, let's go over to our Paragon board. And as there are 225 different choices that I made, so I won't explain each one's reasoning. But most importantly, what you need to know is that this board is optimized to give us as high damage as possible, while not being extremely squishy. So on the starter board, follow this path and select the control glyph for 10 to 20% increased damage for slowed or stunned enemies. Then next up we have the no weaknesses board with the fluidity glyph for 10% increased damage and 15% increased energy regeneration for 6 seconds. Then after that we move to the next one, which here we just want to select the exploit weakness board with no glyph. Then next we move to the top and select the deadly ambush board with the bane glyph for 15% chance to deal double amount of damage for poisoning effects. And as our build is made around poison, so this is very huge. Then next up we move to the right side and select the cheap shot board with the tracker glyph for poisoning damage effect that lasts for 33% longer. And finally we have the last board called the Eldritch Bounty with the canny glyph for up to 10% increased damage that will last for 15 seconds. And don't forget guys, when you use the specific Paragon setup, to rotate each board so they would align exactly like we have here. And now finally we have come to the last and final part, which is the gameplay and our skill rotations. The Andariel's rogue build is very straightforward to play, given the fact that you mostly spam the barrage with poison imbuement. Also given the high poison damage that you will be dealing with this build, so you don't want to stick around and wait for things to die. The poison will finish off any enemy that you see. So when you speed farm, just keep moving from pack to pack. As we have very spammy build, the order that you want to use the skills don't really matter, as long as you use them for the right purpose. So first of all we have the barrage, and even though it is a ranged skill, you want to move close to your targets to reduce the spread, but in any case, you want to spam the barrage with poison imbuement at close range to proc the Andariel's Visage and Bursting Venoms, plus the rest of our procs. Then second of all, it is critical that you use the Shadow Step or Dash every 8 seconds to keep the cutthroat part of close quarters combat active 24/7. Then the third step is to use the Poison Trap against tough elite packs and bosses. This will give us more DPS and knockdowns, as well as it is very useful when speed farming. Then next up we use the Death Trap whenever it is ready to reset your cooldowns through the Preparation and Weaknesses passives. Then as well you want to drink a potion every 10 seconds during combat to activate the Unstable Elixirs. This passive will allow you to drink potions while full HP, and this will stun surrounding enemies for 3 seconds, and as well increase our damage by 6%, plus 20% damage increase from our Paragon glyph, and many more buffs. And finally, the life per hit from the Andariels and Dark Shroud that you generate from the Umbros are your primary way of staying alive, as well as it is very mandatory to stagger bosses quickly, because this is the best way to deal significant amount of damage to them without us taking too much damage in return. And that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and not miss any more amazing content. With that said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next one. So take it easy. Peace.